Fleet Admiral Sujin Park walked through the command center buried 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Luna. The screens around her showed data streams from across human space, each one representing a piece of the greatest secret humanity had ever kept. She was 73 years old and had spent 40 of those years preparing for this exact moment. "How long until all units reach ready status?" she asked. Director Tae-hyun Choi looked up from his console. The man looked exhausted, but his eyes were bright with something between fear and excitement. 18 hours. The shipyards are bringing everything online now. Some of the crews haven't even met their ships yet. Sujin nodded. That was expected. Many of the vessels had been maintained by automated systems and small skeleton crews, waiting in the dark places between worlds. And our estimates on council response time? Once they detect the first ships, maybe 6 hours before they realize the scope. Another 12 before they believe it. The numbers are just too big. Their minds will reject it at first. On the main screen, a map of human space glowed with thousands of markers. Each one represented a warship. Not the 300 that the council knew about, those relics that humanity had deliberately kept visible and outdated. These were different. These were the ships that would remake the balance of power in the galaxy. The Constellation Protocol had begun 153 years ago, shortly after humanity's first major conflict with an alien power. It had been a minor border dispute, settled quickly through council mediation. But the message had been clear. In this galaxy, strength mattered. Weakness invited aggression. And humanity, new to the stars and naive about galactic politics, had learned a harsh lesson. Never again, the governments of Earth had decided. Never again would humanity be at the mercy of species who saw them as lesser beings. So they had built, in secret, in silence. Using every asteroid field, every gas giant's shadow, every dead system far from trade routes. Shipyards had been constructed in places where no one would think to look. Resources had been diverted quietly, budgets had been manipulated, and an entire parallel economy had been created just to feed the project. Captain Youngmi Han stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Indomitable, watching her crew run through final systems checks. The ship was massive, 2 kilometers of weapons and armor and reactors powerful enough to light up a small moon. And it was just one of 50 identical vessels. Reactor output at 98%, her engineering officer reported. All weapon systems green. Crew reports all stations manned and ready. Young Mai touched the armrest of her command chair, feeling the slight vibration of the engines coming online. She had trained for 15 years for this command, studying tactics and strategy from every war humanity had ever fought. But most importantly, she had studied alien warfare. She knew how the Wrath fought, all aggression and overwhelming force. She knew the cold tactics, precise and mathematical. She had made it her life's work to understand how to beat them. "Take us out," she ordered. "Let's go scare the hell out of our neighbors." The Indomitable slid out of its hidden dock in the shadow of Saturn's rings, followed by its sister ships. Across human space, the same scene repeated thousands of times. Ships emerged from hiding like predators stepping into the light. Engineer Hyunwoo Kang watched from the bridge of a factory station as the first wave of Shadow-class destroyers powered up. He had designed these ships himself, had spent 20 years refining their stealth systems and weapons. Each destroyer was small by dreadnought standards, only 300 meters long. But they were fast and deadly, and there were 2,000 of them. "Beautiful," he whispered as they began to move, their hulls absorbing light so completely they seemed like holes cut in space itself. "Now show them what you can do." The data streams flowing into Luna Command began to change. Ships were checking in, confirming ready status, moving to their assigned positions. Sujin watched the numbers climb and felt a weight settle in her chest. This was it. This was the moment when everything changed. "Admiral," Tae-hyun said quietly, "the Council's intelligence network is starting to pick up unusual readings. They're going to know soon." "Good. Let them know." Sujin pulled up the communication interface. "Get me a channel to all ships." The channel opened, connecting her to every vessel in the fleet. Over 10,000 ships, with crews totaling more than 3 million people, all of them waiting for her words. This is Fleet Admiral Park to all Constellation units. For more than a century, humanity has prepared for this day. We hoped it would never come. We prayed that peace would prevail, and that our strength would never need to be shown. But the galaxy has forced our hand. She paused, gathering her thoughts. In the background, she could see the tactical displays updating as more and more ships reported in. The numbers were staggering. The firepower represented on those screens could level entire planets. Today, the galaxy learns what humanity is truly capable of. Not because we seek war, but because we will never again bow to those who would take what is ours. Our colonies will not be abandoned. Our people will not be surrendered. And anyone who thinks humanity is weak will learn otherwise. She took a breath. All ships, proceed to your assembly points. Let them see what we've built. Let them see what happens when humanity is pushed too far. Constellation protocol is active. Show them the fleet that will darken the stars. Across human space, ships began to move in coordinated waves. The first assembly point was near the border with Vrath space, where a fleet of 2,000 vessels would gather. Others were moving to protect key systems, to secure trade routes, to position themselves for whatever came next. In a monitoring station on the edge of coal territory, a sensor technician saw something impossible on his screens. 800 human ships appearing seemingly out of nowhere. He ran the diagnostics 3 times, certain his equipment was malfunctioning. But the readings remained constant. 800 ships where yesterday there had been nothing. He reported it to his superiors, his message flagged as urgent. Within the hour, similar reports were flooding in from across the galaxy. Human ships, hundreds of them, thousands of them, appearing like ghosts made solid. Ships that the Council had never known existed, in numbers that seemed impossible. By the time the Council reconvened in emergency session, the preliminary counts were coming in. Conservative estimates put the human fleet at over 8,000 vessels. More aggressive analysis suggested the number could be as high as 10,000 or more. Krellick stared at the data with something approaching shock. This is impossible. How did they hide this? How did we not know? But Shimra was already calculating, its crystalline mind processing the implications at speeds that would shame a computer. They have been building for over a century. Every resource, every innovation, every moment of peace. They used it all to prepare for war. In Luna Command, Sujin watched the reports flooding in from Council space. Panic, confusion, fear. All the things that came when the universe suddenly revealed itself to be different than you thought. Let them panic, she said quietly. Let them realize what it means to underestimate humanity. We're done hiding. 10,000 human warships from myth to reality. Darkening the Stars story outline. HFY Sci-Fi epic. 5 parts. Part 1. The Council's mistake setting. The Galactic Assembly Hall, 2347. CE The story opens with the Galactic Council convening to discuss the human problem. For 2 centuries, humanity has been a minor member species, confined to their small sector with limited worlds. The dominant species, the insectoid Vrath Empire, the crystalline Coal Collective, and the aquatic Remen Federation, view humans as weak, their military laughable. Key characters: Commander Daewon Kim, Human Military Attaché to the Galactic Council Ambassador Hana Lee, Earth's Chief Diplomat Hyvrath Krellick, Aggressive Insectoid War Leader who demands humanity surrender 3 colonies, Kjol Observer, Shimra, Ancient Crystalline Being who believes humans are beneath notice plot points. The Council presents an ultimatum. Humanity must cede 3 border colonies or face sanctions. Ambassador Lee warns them that humanity will not comply. Krellick mocks human military capability, citing intelligence reports showing only 300 operational warships. Daewon remains silent, but his expression troubles some of the wiser council members. The council votes to authorize a peacekeeping force of 5,000 ships to force compliance. Earth is given 30 days to respond. Final scene. Daewon sends a single encrypted message home. They don't believe. Initiate Constellation Protocol. Part 2. The myth becomes reality. Setting. Hidden shipyards throughout human space. Earth Command. HQ, the narrative reveals humanity's greatest secret. For 150 years, since the first tensions with alien powers, humanity has been building. Not hundreds of ships, but thousands upon thousands. Key characters: Fleet Admiral Sujin Park, Supreme Commander of Earth's Hidden Fleet; Director Tae-Hyun Choi, Head of the Constellation Project; Captain Young Mi-han, Commander of the Dreadnought; Indomitable; Engineer Hyun-Woo Kang, Lead Designer of the Shadow-class destroyer's plot points. Flashbacks reveal the Constellation Protocol, a generations-long project to build a secret armada hidden shipyards and asteroid fields behind gas giants in deep space, all revealed to readers humanity's philosophy: hope for peace, prepare for annihilation. The fleet numbers exactly 10,247 warships, each more advanced than anything the galaxy has seen. Integration of AI, quantum computing, and experimental weapons kept hidden from galactic society. Fleet Admiral Park gives the order: let them see what humanity has wrought. Ships begin emerging from hiding, converging on assembly points. Final scene: a coal scout ship detects the EU first wave, 800 ships, and reports it as a sensor malfunction. Part 3. Darkening the Star's Setting. The border between human and Vrath space. The Vrath Empire launches their peacekeeping force of 5,000 ships toward human colonies, expecting easy victory. Instead, they encounter something that shatters their understanding of warfare. Key characters: Vice Admiral Ji-won Song, Commander of the First Contact Fleet, 2,000 ships; Battle Group Commander Sung-ho Lee, tactical genius leading the vanguard; Vrath War Prime Extharuk, confident Vrath commander; veteran of 100 campaigns communications officer Min Seo Bai, the voice of humanity to the galaxy plot points. The Vrath fleet arrives at human colony Novus Terra, expecting token resistance. Instead, space darkens. 2,000 human warships exit hyperspace simultaneously. The sheer mass of ships blots out the stars from the colony's surface, giving the story its title. Humanity offers one chance for peaceful withdrawal. Extharuk, enraged by the deception, orders attack. What follows is a one-sided battle. Human weapons are generations ahead, tactics flawless. In 3 hours, 4,200 Vrath ships are destroyed or captured with minimal human losses. The galaxy watches in real time. As the minor species obliterates a major military force, Min Seo broadcasts humanity's message: we wanted peace. You demanded war. Now witness what we've prepared. Final scene: the Galactic Council watches in horror as humanity's true fleet count, over 10,000 ships, is revealed. Part 4. The Galaxy Tremble Setting. Multiple locations across the galaxy as the political order collapses. The revelation of humanity's fleet sends shockwaves through galactic civilization. Alliances crumble, panic spreads, and questions arise. How did they hide this? What else are they hiding? Key characters: President Chan-Woo Park, Earth's president, now addressing the galaxy. Intelligence Chief Yoon-ji Kim reveals the extent of humanity's intelligence network. Cole Elder Primsha, one of the few aliens who suspected human capability. Remn Ambassador Korala attempts to broker peace. Vrath Empress Keksalith, furious leader demanding revenge. Plot points. 3 more. Alien powers mobilize fleets believing they must strike before humanity grows stronger. A coalition of 15,000 ships from various species forms. The Preservation Alliance. President Park addresses the galaxy. Humanity never wanted empire, only. Security reveals that humanity has detailed intelligence on every major power's military capability. Director Yoon-ji demonstrates this by revealing classified information from each species. The Cole Elder reveals ancient records. Humanity matches the profile of endurance species, rare races that survive through paranoid preparation. Several minor species quietly align with humanity, fearing the traditional powers more. The Preservation Alliance demands humanity disarm to 500 ships. Admiral Park's response, "Come and make us." Final scene. 10,000 human warships form a defensive sphere around Earth, visible from the surface as a shell of lights. Part 5. A new balance setting, the Crucible, a massive space battlefield near a neutron star. The Coalition fleet arrives at Earth's outer territories, 15,000 ships strong. But humanity has chosen the battlefield, and they've had centuries to prepare for this moment. Key characters: Grand Admiral Soo-Jin Park, leading all human forces. Captain Young Mi-han, heroic actions in the flagship Indomitable Wing Commander. Jae-won Yoon, fighter ace who turns the tide. Tactical officer Hye-jin Nam, devises the winning strategy. Coalition Supreme Commander, Vrath, leading the Alliance forces. Plot points. The battle begins near a neutron star, humanity's choice, which concerns alien commanders. Human forces number 9,500 combat ships, 500 in reserve, seemingly outnumbered. The Coalition attacks, confident in superior numbers. Humanity unveils weapons kept secret even during the first battle: quantum displacement, cannons, singularity missiles, swarm drones. The neutron star itself was the trap. Humanity uses its gravity well for tactical advantage. A feint draws Coalition forces into vulnerable positions. Captain Han sacrifices her shields to save a damaged, Allied minor species ship, earning respect. Commander Yoon's fighter wings exploit a weakness in Vrath formation. Officer Nam coordinates a fleet-wide maneuver that fragments the Coalition. The battle lasts 17 hours. Humanity loses 800 ships but destroys or disables 11,000 Coalition vessels. The remaining Coalition forces retreat in disarray. In the aftermath, humanity doesn't pursue. Instead, broadcasts terms, resolution. The Treaty of Terra. Humanity offers peace, but from a position of strength. No territorial expansion, but no disarmament either. Human technology slowly shared in exchange for true equality in the Galactic Council. The story ends with Admiral Park watching the fleet disperse, some ships returning to their hidden yards. Final revelation. Admiral Park orders the construction of the next-generation fleet, not for conquest, but because humanity never forgets the lesson. Closing line. They came from the stars as myths. They became legends through preparation. And they would remain free through eternal vigilance. The 10,000 had darkened the stars, but in doing so, they'd illuminated humanity's place among them. Not as subjects, but as equals. Themes. Preparation versus aggression, peace through strength. The cost of underestimating others, unity through adversity. The burden of power, tone. Epic space, opera scale. Military science fiction with tactical detail. Humanity as the underdog turned powerhouse. HFY. Humanity. Foxiat, or spirit balance between triumph and restraint. The Vrath fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 5,000 ships arranged in the classic battlesphere that had won them 100 wars across 1,000 years. Vrath War Prime Xtharuk stood at the center of his flagship's command deck, his compound eyes scanning the tactical displays with satisfaction. Before them hung Novus Terra, a blue and green world that humanity had colonized 40 years ago. 2 million humans lived on that planet, farming and building and pretending they could hold territory that the Vrath Empire wanted. That delusion would end today. All ships report ready status, his tactical officer announced. The human colony has raised its defense shields. We detect 20 orbital defense platforms and approximately 35 human ships in defensive positions. Xtharuk's mandibles clicked in amusement. 35 ships against 5,000. The humans were brave, he would give them that. Brave and foolish in equal measure. Broadcast standard surrender terms, he ordered. Give them 10 minutes to evacuate their ships and platforms. After that, we take the planet by force. The message was sent. Xtharuk expected immediate compliance. What he got instead made his blood run cold. Space began to ripple. Not in one location, but in dozens, then hundreds. The familiar distortions of hyperspace emergence, but on a scale that should have been impossible. Ships began to appear. Human warships. Each one larger and more advanced than anything in the Council's databases. Vice Admiral Ji-won Song stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the Vrath fleet with calm eyes. She had spent 20 years studying Vrath tactics, learning their patterns, understanding their doctrine. She knew exactly what they would do next, and she was ready for it. All ships maintain formation, she ordered. Let them see what they're facing. I want every ship visible. I want them to count us. More ships kept emerging from hyperspace. 100, 500, 1,000. The space around Novus Terra was filling with human vessels, each one taking up position in a defensive formation that enclosed the Vrath fleet on three sides. On the planet's surface, colonists stood in the streets and on rooftops watching the sky change. The stars were disappearing, blocked out by the sheer mass of metal and weapons above them. Thousands of ships, their hulls reflecting the light of Novus Terra's sun, creating a canopy of steel that stretched from horizon to horizon. The settlers had never seen anything like it. They had thought themselves abandoned, isolated, waiting for the Vrath to sweep them away. Instead, humanity had come in force beyond imagining. Battle Group Commander Sung-Ho Lee coordinated his 200 ships into position on the Vrath fleet's flank. Each vessel responded instantly to his commands, their crews trained to perfection. These weren't the old, purchased ships that humanity had shown the galaxy. These were new, built in human shipyards with human technology that had advanced in secret while the rest of the galaxy assumed humanity was standing still. Weapons range in 30 seconds, his tactical officer reported. The Vrath fleet is attempting to reorient. They're confused, sir. Their formation is breaking. Sung-Ho could see it on his displays. The perfect Vrath battlesphere was coming apart as ships tried to track threats from multiple directions. They had trained to fight outnumbered, not to be outnumbered. The psychological impact alone was devastating. Communications officer Min Seo-Bei opened a channel to the Vrath flagship. Her voice broadcast across every ship in both fleets and transmitted to the colony below. She spoke clearly, her words chosen with care. Vrath War Prime Ixtharuk, this is Vice Admiral Song of the Earth Defense Fleet. You have entered human territory with hostile intent. You threatened our colony and our people. I'm authorized to offer you one chance to withdraw peacefully. Power down your weapons and retreat beyond the border. You have 5 minutes to comply. Ixtharuk stared at his screens, trying to process what he was seeing. The count had stabilized at 2,000 human ships. 2,000. Where had they come from? How had intelligence missed this? Every report, every surveillance sweep, every piece of data had shown humanity as weak, limited, barely able to field 300 outdated vessels. His pride would not let him retreat. The Vrath Empire did not run from battle, especially not from humans. All ships prepare to engage. Target their command vessels. We'll cut off the head and the body will... He never finished the order. The human fleet opened fire. The weapons were like nothing the Vrath had encountered before. Particle beams that could punch through shields as if they weren't there. Missiles that moved faster than point defense could track. Electronic warfare that turned Vrath ships blind and deaf in seconds. What should have been a battle became a massacre. Sung-Ho watched his tactical display with grim satisfaction. His ships moved like dancers, each one knowing exactly where to be and when. The Vrath fought back, their weapons scoring hits on human shields, but it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. Enemy battlecruiser destroyed. 2 destroyers disabled. They're trying to form a defensive perimeter around their flagship. Let them try, Sung-Ho said. All units continue engagement pattern Delta. Keep the pressure on, but avoid their center. I want them to think they have a chance to break out. It was a trap, of course. Every route the Vrath tried to take led them into another kill zone. Another position where human ships waited with weapons charged and targeting locks already established. The Vrath were experienced warriors, but they were fighting blind against an enemy they had never imagined could exist. 3 hours into the engagement, Ixtharuk finally understood that he had lost. Of his 5,000 ships, less than 800 remained functional. The space around Novus Terra was filled with debris and escape pods, the wreckage of an empire's pride scattered like broken toys. Minseo received the surrender transmission and forwarded it to Admiral Song. The Vrath flagship was powering down its weapons, accepting the reality of its defeat. Accept their surrender, Jiwon ordered. Deploy rescue ships for their survivors. I want every escape pod recovered and every wounded treated. We're not savages. As human ships moved to secure the Vrath survivors, Minseo opened a wideband transmission that would reach across the galaxy. Every major power, every minor species, every listening post and relay station would receive this message. She had been chosen for this task because her voice was clear and her presence calm. She would be the face of humanity in this moment. People of the galaxy, this is Communications Officer Bay of the Earth Defense Fleet. Today, humanity was forced to reveal a truth we had hoped to keep hidden. For over a century, we have prepared for this moment. Not because we desired war, but because we understood that peace must be defended by those strong enough to maintain it. She paused, letting that sink in. Across the galaxy, beings from 1,000 species watched the footage of the battle, saw the size of the human fleet, tried to comprehend what it meant. The Vrath Empire came to take our colony by force. They believed humanity was weak. They were wrong. We fielded 2,000 ships in this engagement. This represents less than 20% of our total military capacity. The full strength of the Earth Defense Fleet numbers more than 10,000 warships. The silence that followed that statement was absolute. 10,000 ships. The number was staggering. The combined military might of the next 3 largest powers didn't equal that number. Humanity does not seek conflict. We do not desire empire or conquest, but we will defend our people and our territory with every resource at our disposal. Let today's battle serve as proof of our resolve and our capability. We wanted peace. You demanded war. Now witness what we have prepared. On Novus Terra, the colonists cheered as the stars slowly reappeared above them. The fleet was dispersing, ships moving to patrol positions or returning to their bases. But they would never forget the sight of the sky darkening with ships, humanity's strength made visible and undeniable. President Chanwu Park stood before the Galactic Assembly, but this time the atmosphere was different. No one was laughing now. No one dismissed humanity as weak or inconsequential. The delegates who had mocked Ambassador Li 30 days ago now watched the human president with expressions ranging from fear to calculation to outright terror. The footage of the Novus Terra battle had spread across the galaxy within hours. Every species, every government, every military command had watched in disbelief as humanity revealed the fleet that shouldn't have existed. Intelligence agencies across known space were scrambling to understand how they had missed it. Military strategists were running simulations trying to figure out how to counter it. Political leaders were wondering what humanity would do next. Chanwu let the silence stretch before he spoke. His voice was measured, calm, the tone of a man who held all the cards and knew it. 3 months ago, this council demanded that humanity surrender 3 of our colonies. You offered us a choice between compliance and destruction. You assumed that we would fold, that we would accept whatever terms you dictated because we were weak and you were strong. He gestured to the empty space where Krelix usually stood. The Vrath delegation had not attended this session. Their empire was in chaos, their military shattered, their confidence broken. Instead, we showed you what humanity truly is. We are not the weak species you believed us to be. We are survivors. We are builders. And we are prepared to defend ourselves against any threat. Cole Elder Primsha shifted forward, light refracting through its crystalline body. When it spoke, its voice held something that might have been respect. The Cole Collective acknowledges its error. Our calculations did not account for human deception on such a massive scale. Your species has proven itself capable of long-term strategic thinking that exceeds our projections. Intelligence Chief Yoon-ji Kim stood beside the president, her tablet displaying information that made several delegates visibly uncomfortable. She had been waiting for this moment, the chance to reveal just how deeply humanity's intelligence network penetrated galactic society. We know things, she said simply. The Cole Collective has been experiencing resource shortages in 17 key systems. Your projections show a potential collapse of your industrial base within 30 years, without expansion into new territories. The Vrath Empire's military spending has bankrupted 3 of their core worlds. The Rem Federation has been secretly developing weapons that violate 6 different council treaties. She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of delegates who suddenly realized they had no secrets anymore. We know the deployment patterns of every major fleet. We know which species are planning alliances and which are planning betrayals. We have known for decades. We simply chose not to act on that information because we believed in the possibility of peaceful coexistence. A delegate from the Krell Dominion stood abruptly. This is madness. You cannot expect us to simply accept that humanity has become the dominant military power overnight. The balance of power must be maintained. If necessary, we must act collectively to contain this threat. Chanwu had been expecting this. He nodded to Unji, who brought up a new display. It showed ship movements, fleet concentrations, coded communications between various species. The evidence was damning. You already are acting collectively, Chanwu said. The Preservation Alliance, you call it. 15 species agreeing in secret to build a coalition fleet. Current projections suggest you could field 15,000 ships within 60 days. The chamber erupted in denials and accusations. Several species who had thought their involvement was secret now found themselves exposed. Others who had known about the alliance but pretended ignorance were caught in their own lies. Remn Ambassador Kor Ala rose from her fluid-filled tank. Her voice translated through speakers that made her sound almost human. This is precisely why humanity must be stopped. You have too much power, too much information, too much capability. How can we trust you not to use it? How could we trust you? Chanwu shot back. For 200 years, humanity has been part of this galactic community. In that time, we have honored every treaty, respected every border, and contributed to every collective effort. We asked only to be treated as equals. Instead, you saw us as lesser beings. When we defended ourselves, you call us a threat. Primsha's crystalline form pulsed with colors that indicated deep thought. The Coal Elder had existed for over 3,000 years and had seen civilizations rise and fall. When it spoke, other delegates listened. I remember human history from your earliest days in space. Your species exhibited patterns that matched ancient records in the coal archives. We call them endurance species. Civilizations that survive not through aggression or natural advantage, but through preparation and paranoia. Species that assume the worst and build accordingly. The Elder turned to address the full assembly. Every few thousand years, such a species emerges. They appear weak at first, join the galactic community as juniors, and seem content to remain minor players. But beneath that surface, they are always building. Always preparing, always assuming that one day they will need to stand alone. When that day comes, they reveal capabilities that shock everyone. You speak as if this has happened before, a delegate said. It has. 7 times in recorded coal history. 3 of those species went on to become major galactic powers. 2 destroyed themselves in civil wars after achieving dominance. 2 others disappeared into deep space, taking their fleets and technology with them. We do not know what happened to them. Chanwu listened carefully. This information was new, and it explained some of the coal's reaction to humanity's revelation. They had seen this pattern before. What humanity does next will define which path you follow, Primsha continued. If you seek conquest, you will find enemies everywhere. If you seek isolation, you will weaken the galaxy as a whole. But if you seek genuine balance, genuine equality, then perhaps something new can be built. The message from Vrath Space arrived during the session, transmitted on emergency channels. Vrath Empress Xalith appeared on the main screen, her massive form barely contained by the holographic projection. Her rage was obvious even through translation software and species differences. Humanity will pay for this humiliation. The Vrath Empire does not accept defeat. We are marshalling forces from every corner of our territory. The Preservation Alliance will have our full support. 15,000 ships will darken your skies, and then we will see how strong you truly are. The transmission ended. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what came next. War. Real war. On a scale the galaxy hadn't seen in centuries. Not border skirmishes or limited engagements, but total conflict between major powers. Chanwu looked at the assembled delegates, seeing fear and determination in equal measure. You want to test humanity's strength? Very well, but understand this. We did not build 10,000 ships because we wanted to. We built them because we understood that the galaxy respects only power. You taught us that lesson 200 years ago, and we learned it well. He gestured to the empty space around him. Bring your 15,000 ships. Bring 30,000 if you can. Humanity will meet you on the battlefield of your choosing, and when the dust settles, we will offer you the same chance we offer now. Peace between equals, respect between peers, or continued conflict until one side can no longer fight. You cannot win, a delegate protested. Even with 10,000 ships, you cannot defeat the combined might of 15 species. Perhaps, Chanwu admitted, but we will make you pay such a price for victory that you will wish you had chosen peace. Every ship you lose, we will replace with 2. Every battle you win, we will learn from and adapt. Humanity does not surrender, we endure. It is what we do best. Admiral Sujin Park watched from Earth, seeing the political theater play out exactly as predicted. The coalition would come. They were too proud, too invested in the old order to back down now, and when they came, Humanity would show them the true cost of underestimating an endurance species. All ships, she transmitted to the fleet. Return to Earth space. Form defensive perimeter. Maximum readiness. They're coming, and this time they'll bring everything they have. Around Earth, the fleet began to gather. 10,000 ships arranging themselves in layers of defense, weapons charged, crews ready. From the planet's surface, the orbital lights merged into a solid shell, a barrier of metal and energy that proclaimed humanity's determination to any who would challenge them. The galaxy trembled. War was coming, and nothing would be the same after. The neutron star designated as Crucible burned in the darkness, its intense gravity well-warping space around it, like a wound in reality. Grand Admiral Sujin Park had chosen this location carefully. The Preservation Alliance would come expecting a defensive battle around Earth. But humanity would not fight on their terms. 9,500 human warships waited in formations that looked chaotic, but were actually precisely calculated. Each ship positioned to use the neutron star's gravity as both weapon and shield. 500 more ships remained in reserve, hidden in the system's outer reaches, waiting for the moment when they would be needed most. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Youngmi Han ran through final checks one more time. Her ship had taken damage at Novus Terra, but the repair crews had worked miracles. Now she commanded not just her own dreadnought, but an entire battle group. 27 ships that would form the tip of humanity's spear. Coalition forces entering detection range, her sensor officer reported. Preliminary count shows 14,800 ships. They're maintaining standard approach formation. Youngmi studied the tactical display. The coalition fleet was massive, representing the combined military might of 15 different species. Every ship was crewed by warriors who believed they were saving the galaxy from human aggression. They were wrong, but that didn't make them less dangerous. The Coalition Supreme Commander was a Vrath general named Zakthor, brother to the War Prime who had died at Novus Terra. His voice came through on the open channel, filled with the clicking rage his species wore like armor. Humans, you chose this location to hide behind stellar phenomena. It will not save you. The Preservation Alliance comes to restore balance to the galaxy. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Sujin took her time responding, letting the silence build. When she spoke, her voice was calm, almost conversational. General Zakthor, you come seeking revenge for your brother's defeat. I understand that. But understand this in return. We chose this battlefield because it gives us advantage. You are welcome to retreat while you still can. The Vrath do not retreat. Then the Vrath will learn another painful lesson. All ships weapons free. Execute Crucible Protocol. The battle began not with a massive exchange of fire, but with subtlety. Human ships began moving in patterns that seemed random, using the neutron star's gravity to slingshot between positions at speeds that should have been impossible. The Coalition fleet tried to match their movements and found themselves fighting not just humanity but physics itself. Wing Commander Jae-Won Yoon led his fighter squadron through the chaos, his craft dancing between capital ship fire with precision that bordered on precognitive. He had trained for this his entire adult life, studying not just flying but the psychology of alien pilots, learning to predict their movements before they made them. Gold Squadron, form on me. We're going for their carrier group. Hit them fast and get out before they can respond. His squadron followed him into the teeth of the Coalition's defenses, fighters that had been built specifically for this kind of combat. Fast and deadly and almost impossible to track. They struck like lightning, crippling 3 carriers before the Coalition could even scramble their own fighters. On the Indomitable, Young Mi saw an opportunity. A group of Coalition cruisers had broken formation trying to pursue Yoon's fighters, leaving a gap in their defensive line. But between her position and that gap was a damaged ship from the Minor Species Alliance, a small destroyer that had been caught in the crossfire. Helm, intercept course for that destroyer. Shields to maximum forward projection. Her executive officer looked confused. Captain, that takes us out of position. We'll miss the attack window. That ship has 300 crew members who didn't ask to be in this fight. We're getting them out. The Indomitable surged forward, its massive shields extending to cover the damaged destroyer. Coalition fire hammered against the dreadnought's defenses, but Young Mi held position until the smaller ship could limp to safety. The gesture cost her the attack opportunity, but it was seen by thousands of beings across the Coalition fleet. Tactical Officer Hye-Jin Nam, watched the battle from her position in Fleet Command, her mind processing thousands of data points simultaneously. She saw patterns the Coalition didn't, saw the moment when their formation would be most vulnerable. She had been building this calculation for hours, waiting for the exact right moment. "Admiral, I have it. Transmission to all ships now." Her orders flashed across the fleet in seconds. Every human captain saw the maneuver simultaneously, understood their role, and executed with precision that seemed almost impossible. The human fleet, which had appeared scattered and disorganized, suddenly contracted into a spearhead formation aimed directly at the Coalition's command center. Zakthor saw it coming too late. His ships tried to reorient, tried to bring their weapons to bear, but the human formation was already among them. What followed was 17 hours of the most intense combat the galaxy had seen in 1,000 years. The neutron star's gravity well became a weapon in humanity's hands. Coalition ships found themselves pulled into unstable orbits or slingshot away from their formations. Human vessels used the intense gravitational effects to make impossible turns, to accelerate beyond what their engines alone could achieve, to turn physics itself into their ally. But the Coalition had numbers, and they used them well. For every Coalition ship destroyed, 3 more took its place. Human casualties mounted steadily. The Indomitable took a direct hit that killed 40 crew members and left a gaping wound in its port side. Still young, Mi kept her ship in the fight, coordinating her battle group even as repair teams struggled to keep the vessel operational. J1's squadron was down to half strength, but they kept flying, kept striking at Coalition weak points. His fighter took hits that should have killed him, but somehow he kept going, kept fighting, kept inspiring his pilots to do the impossible. Ye Jin coordinated 3 more major fleet maneuvers, each one bleeding the Coalition a little more. Her calculations were perfect, her timing impeccable, but even she could see that the numbers were against them. Humanity was winning tactically but losing strategically. There were simply too many Coalition ships. That's when Su Jin played her final card. Reserve fleet, execute insertion. Full power. I want them to know they've been had. 500 fresh ships emerged from hyperspace behind the Coalition fleet, their weapons already firing. These weren't just any ships. These were the experimental vessels, the ones carrying weapons that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. Singularity missiles that could tear holes in spacetime. Quantum displacement cannons that could hit targets without crossing the space between. Swarm drones that could think and adapt faster than any biological pilot. The Coalition fleet, already battered and exhausted, suddenly found itself facing a fresh wave of opponents with capabilities they couldn't counter. The psychological impact was devastating. They had thought they knew humanity's full strength. They were wrong again. Zakthor watched his fleet begin to fracture. Ships were breaking off, retreating, some even surrendering. In 17 hours of combat, he had lost 11,000 vessels. Humanity had lost 800, a casualty ratio that should have been impossible. He opened a channel to Su Jin, his pride finally broken. "Admiral Park, I request terms of surrender." Su Jin looked at the battlefield, at the debris and escape pods scattered across light seconds of space, at the human ship still standing ready to continue fighting. She felt tired and sad and grimly satisfied all at once. "Ceasefire. All ships, weapons hold. General Zakthor, you and your surviving vessels are free to leave. Take your wounded, recover your dead, return to your homes. This war is over. You do not demand surrender, do not take prisoners. We demand only that you leave us alone. Humanity never wanted this war. We wanted peace. You forced us to prove our strength. We have done so. Now go." President Chan Wu addressed the galaxy from Earth, his words broadcast to every world in known space. Behind him, through the windows of his office, the lights of the orbital fleet glowed like a second ring around the planet. People of the galaxy, today humanity proved what we have always known. We are strong enough to defend ourselves. We are capable enough to stand as equals with any species. But we are also wise enough to know that strength without restraint is tyranny. He paused, looking directly into the camera. The Treaty of Terra offers simple terms. Humanity will maintain our military capability. We will defend our territories and our people. But we will not seek expansion. We will not demand tribute. We will not force our will on others. In exchange, we ask for true equality in the Galactic Council, recognition as a major power, access to markets and technology on the same terms as other advanced species, and most importantly, respect. Not fear, not submission, simply respect between peers. The treaty was signed 30 days later. Humanity gained 3 permanent seats on the Galactic Council. Human technology, which had been hidden for so long, began to flow into galactic markets, advancing every species who had access to it. The balance of power had shifted, but not toward domination, toward equilibrium.